Alright guys, welcome back to another video, and today I wanted to talk about my top 5 favorite things to do in VR for 2025. There's a lot of different things I do in VR, whether it be media watching, whether it be 3D movies, whether it be mixed reality, whether it be different games, whether it be social VR, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about in this video because I love VR, and VR has been great in 2025, and I wanted to showcase some of my favorite things that I love doing on here. And if you guys want to support me and the channel, there will be links to some of the games that we talk about in the video here down below. Let's go ahead and get into the video.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
So the first one here I wanted to talk about coming in at number 5 is flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator. This is something that it took me a while to actually first get into. Look, I played Microsoft Flight Simulator on a controller and stuff like that for a while, and then I finally dove in and played it in VR, and it really changed my perspective on Microsoft Flight Simulator. I've never been a flight simulator person. Like, I didn't play like the old ones back in the day or anything like that. I kind of got into these more recently, and I was kind of blown away on how awesome this game is, especially in VR. Like, being able to basically fly anywhere you want to go, anywhere you can think of, on all these different aircrafts and stuff like that. Like, I went from, New York and stuff like that all the way to Florida, and you can actually see like Disney World and stuff like that. Or you can go to other locations that you're probably not going to be able to visit every location in the world that you want to go to. But with a game like this, you get to feel like you're there, especially when you're in VR and you're using something like the Pimax Crystal Super, where you have a really large FOV that you get here and you can see everything surrounding you. And, really engage yourself in this experience and really see what this game has to offer and stuff like that. And then there's DLC that people make for this game. Like, I remember I played the Jurassic Park DLC, where you can actually, a company out there completely remade New Bar and stuff like that from Jurassic Park, and you can actually go and see all the locations. You can see all the dinosaurs roaming around. You can actually get little story beats and stuff like that. Like, people are creating some crazy custom DLC for this game that I didn't even know people were doing when I first started playing Microsoft Flight Simulator. It really is amazing. And going to all these different locations like Hong Kong, like Paris, like Portugal, and all of these locations, and getting up close to them and seeing different things that you might not be able to see. Like I said, that you're not going to be able to go to all these locations in the whole entire world all at the same time, but doing all these discovery flights that you can do in the game and really getting up close to some of these locations and be like, oh my god, look how awesome this looks, especially in VR, really sets it apart. And then you add the fact that you can do online multiplayer, where you can actually see other aircraft surrounding you. You can do real time of day and weather, so like when you're passing different areas, you can actually see them in the actual weather that's actually going on in that location, which is super awesome. So Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 comes in at number 5. The next one here coming in at number 4 is going to be racing games in general. I have never really gotten into VR racing until this year, and I've really been missing out, especially when the PlayStation VR 2 came out and I got into it with Gran Turismo, and that's what you guys are seeing here. That's really what set the bar for me to get into the racing genre in VR, because when I played Gran Turismo on PlayStation VR 2, I was kind of blown away on how good the graphics were and how good the presence feel, especially when you use a real-life racing wheel while you're playing the game as well, which is what I was doing. And it really is as immersive as it gets on the PlayStation VR 2. And then you have things that recently I got into that came out, which is VR Racer Hoverbike, which is like the new Wipeout, essentially, that you can play on the Quest or PC VR as well. And this has like over 30 like futuristic tracks and stuff like that. It has multiplayer, it has single player, all the stuff that you would expect. But then it also has weapons that you get to throw at each other as well. So it really is just Wipeout in VR with weapons and stuff that you're throwing at each other and trying to kill each other off the track. It really is a super fun game. And it really sets apart like how awesome VR is for racing games in general, because you get that nice FOV on some of these headsets and stuff like that, and you really get to feel like you're actually in a cockpit, you're actually in, an actual real life car. You get to see all the detail, you get to see all this detail in the VR hover bikes and stuff like that, and it really does set it apart and how awesome it is, and customizing all these different vehicles and stuff like that. I can't believe it took me this long to actually get into racing games. Like I said, it only really got into it when the PlayStation VR 2 came out, with Gran Turismo shortly afterwards, and then really this past year with a bunch of different racing games that I've been playing, not just these two that we're talking about, but then moving on to some of the other stuff that you see, you know, on PC VR as well, like Project Cars 3. Now, I know this is a little bit more arcadey than what a lot of people are usually used to when they're talking about it, but for me, I like playing a variety of different racing games. It's not just sim racing for me like Gran Turismo was. It's also the arcade stuff as well. And Project Cars 3 is super fun in VR. They have a variety of different cars, and you can get into the car and actually, you know, see all the detail inside the car. The seats and all the dials and everything are all there. The racing wheel and all that stuff is freaking awesome. Using either a controller or a real-life racing reel is still super fun in a game like this. And of course, it has a gigantic amount of content with all the career paths, multiplayer, unlocking all the cars. All that stuff is there. And it's obviously an arcadey racing game, but I like I said, I like a variety of different racing games out there. Sometimes I'm in the mood for something a little bit more sim-like Gran Turismo, and sometimes I'm in the mood for something like this where it's a little bit more arcadey in that style. And I love playing games like this, and the game looks fantastic in VR too. It looks really good. I love showing this game off in VR and showcasing everything that it could actually do when friends come over. And then after that, you have things like Galaxy Kart, which is a kart racing game. So there's even that in VR as well. So if you want to get your Mario Kart type fix in VR, there's also Galaxy Kart right here, and they've done a fantastic job, you know, elevating this game over the last year or two, where they keep adding new tracks. Their tracks have gotten a lot better in design. They have multiplayer, they have single player, and, you know, all the different weapons that you would expect. And this game has gotten a lot better since it first came out. When it first came out, I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but things have kept improving on this game, and now it's just a really, really fun kart racing game. There's also Dash World that I really loved when it came out a few years ago, but they have kind of been MIA and haven't really done anything with that game years ago. But that's still a fantastic kart racing game as well. That gives you the same vibe as this one. And there's so many cool different tracks that you could race on, and, you know, all the customizations and unlockables and stuff that they do in a game like this, and just fighting your friends and shooting them with different weapons in VR is super, super fun. So racing games for me comes in at number 4. The next thing here I want to talk about coming in at number 3 is mixed reality. And of course, this really is very specific to the MetaQuest platform, because that's where I play all my mixed reality stuff. And it really does set everything apart when it comes to mixed reality and gaming and stuff like that. Because when they first announced mixed reality, I was like, how cool is that actually going to be for gaming? And how much am I actually going to use this stuff when it comes out? And, you know, every once in a while, we get a surprise hit in mixed reality. Not every game out there is obviously going to be perfect for mixed reality. We still need our VR content to be fully immersed, but I'm surprised on how much I like mixed reality. And every time a game comes out, I get excited about it. I remember the first one I played, which is here, Home Invasion, that I showcased to my family and friends, and it really changed the game, in my opinion, on what the power of mixed reality can do with gaming, where it took apart and used all the windows that I had in the room, used all my doors, used my ceiling, my walls and everything. And as I'm sitting there killing all these zombies, they're literally coming through my window, they're coming through my door, they're bashing through different areas. I have weapons on the floor that I'm picking up, trying to kill them off of here, and then eventually like a big guy comes in and smashes through the actual walls, and then like opens up the ceiling. All this cool stuff is happening, and you're just like, what the hell is going on? There's so many cool things that you could do with mixed reality, and this was one of the first ones that I played. And I remember when I first showed this to my family, you know, when I first showed it to them and brought over mixed reality for the first time, and their minds were blown that like there was a zombie coming in through the actual window of the house, and they were like, holy shit, there's a zombie coming through the actual door that I'm looking at. Now he's coming through the walls, and now he's coming through the ceiling. It was like an amazing experience to kind of just see them look at it and just like have their mind blown for the very first time, as if they were playing VR again for the very first time. So that was a really cool like VR experience or mixed reality experience that I first had. But there's so much other things that you can play as well that I really like. Last Stand is a really good one, because even though it has the same idea with the zombies and stuff like that, this is a 1v1 PvP shooter where not only are you shooting each other across the room, but you're also dealing with the zombies coming into your room and upgrading your weapons and stuff like that. But your end goal is still to kill the other human player that's playing against you across the room. But they have to worry about the zombies trying to kill them as well, so they don't lose health coming into your room. And you actually are using your physical size of your room, and you're hiding behind barricades and hiding behind different furniture in your room. trying to kill the other person across the room. It's a really, really unique experience. I have not played anything like this in mixed reality before, because it's using your actual room and you're 1v1 dueling each other PvP style, but also having to deal with the zombies PvE style as well at the same time. It's super cool and really stands out as a mixed reality game of something that I've played and not really experienced in any other game out there that has come out. So I think that's a really cool game that a lot of people need to check out, Last Stand, that really sets itself apart from some other ones. And then Meta, of course, released their own games as well. We got Home Sports, the Wii sports game of VR, in my opinion, where they did a really good job, again, showing the power of mixed reality with all these different sports like badminton and bowling and all that stuff that you get to play on here, and the air hockey, version of hockey that they have in here that I think they did a really good job with, that really sets it apart. And it's just a really fun game to be able to, showcase the power of mixed reality, where you and your friends are in there, you're in your room talking to each other, your avatars. Every time I go online and play with friends and their avatars are sitting in my actual home, and I'm like, it's really cool because it feels like you're actually here with me at my house, because your avatar is sitting in here with me, talking to me and moving around. And it's just really cool that I get to talk to you in a way that has never been possible before. That's way better than a regular phone call. And then we're sitting here and we have a virtual screen that puts us into the bowling, and then it's like, oh, now I just sat here and I opened up being in bowling with you, and now I have a bowling alley right in front of me. It's just really cool stuff. And on the same path is Miracle Pool as well, where you get to see a real life, pool table sitting in front of you. That, you don't have a pool table in front of you, but there it is right in front of you. You're playing, against somebody online, and you have a pool table sitting in the middle of your living room, and the physics are top notch. They're spot on what you would expect a pool table to be. And then you can go online and play with people all over the world, but it feels like they're actually in your house, because again, their avatars are actually sitting in your actual home, and they're going around this table that you see there that it doesn't actually exist, but you think it exists because of the power of mixed reality. And this stuff can only get better from here, because obviously, the Quest doesn't have the highest resolution in the world. And as we get better headsets and stuff like that, keeps coming out with better resolution and better quality and stuff, the power of mixed reality is going to keep getting better and better as the quality of the cameras and the quality of mixed reality keeps getting better and better. The same way that the Apple Vision Pro has already come out and kind of done it, but they obviously don't have games like this, like we see on the Quest. But still, you can see where the future is going with this stuff. And there's so many good games I could talk about here. We got Spatial Ops as well, which, lets you play Time Crisis in VR, where you're going through the campaign, but then not only do you have that campaign where it feels like you're going through Time Crisis and portals are opening up like left, right, up, down, and you're shooting all these different enemies coming at you, and it really feels like you're playing Time Crisis in VR in a new way that you have never played before. But then you also have that specific arena mode that you get to play as well, where you get to customize your whole entire house and add different spawning points, and you get to do capture the flag, and you have to run around your actual house and kill each other like laser tag. It's one of the coolest things that you can do in VR that I've never experienced before until I played a game like this. And you have all these different weapon drops that you're picking up around your house and fighting your different friends. If you have multiple headsets in your house and you haven't played this, you need to check it out, because it really does elevate the power of mixed reality and shows you what laser tag can look like in mixed reality, essentially. It is super, super fun. And I'll end off talking about the last recent game that came out that really blew my mind when it comes to mixed reality, and that's Star Wars Beyond Victory. And even though a lot of us complained about the fact that this pod racing game, you're not actually in the pod racing first person view, which I understand, for showing off the power of mixed reality, this is the best game that's ever done it. Not only are the graphics the best they've ever been in mixed reality, but what they do, where they have these characters from Star Wars kind of showing up in front of you, and they're in your actual home. Then you're doing all this pod racing stuff that is in your home, and you're going through all these different levels, and it switches from VR to mixed reality back and forth, and showcasing the storytelling. It's the first game in mixed reality that I think is not just like a short version of a mixed reality game. This feels like a full-on version of a game, and it has all these bite-sized racing games that you can play in arcade mode, and it has this story mode that you can play as well. In my opinion, they knocked it out of the park when it comes to mixed reality and showcasing the power of it. This game right here shows you that when mixed reality is budgeted correctly and it's done correctly, it really does add something to the game that wasn't there before. So mixed reality for me, I love playing all the games that come out, and I can't wait to see what comes out in the future of it, of all the different games that come out on the Quest 3 for it. So that comes in at my number 3. The next thing I want to talk about here coming in at number 2 is just watching content in VR, like this MetaQuest TV app that they completely redid here for 2025 that really elevates it to be so much better than it was before, where everything is organized properly. You get to see, sometimes 3D clips like the new Avatar clip that they added here recently that's exclusive on the MetaQuest 3. You got TV shows from different applications and stuff like that all organized. You get 3D 180 videos, 3D 360 videos, all of it kind of encompassing in one app finally, not in different locations and different areas that you can go to. This is your Meta TV that you can access all of that stuff. But then they also came out with an app this year called Bloomhouse, which really elevated what you can see movies look like in the future when things like this are done, where this is things like Megan and The Purge and Black Phone, where you're watching a movie and in your actual house, it takes over what's actually happening in the scene. Like all your walls take over maybe a dungeon that you're in or whatever it's happening in the scene. It puts you in a cabin, and then like the phone rings, then you see a phone on the right side of you that's actually ringing in 3D, or a bottle spinning in front of you, or an explosion happens on screen and your whole entire environment explodes around you. It really makes watching immersive movie amazing. They just need to let you purchase these movies instead of just renting them in this app. But what they did here really shows the power of what could be coming in the future, and I think it's one of the most amazing experiences of watching a movie I've had in VR, this Bloomhouse application, and it was really cool. And then you have things that have been around for a really long time, like Big Screen, where it lets you go in there in a virtual movie cinema with people from all over the world, where you can watch different movies, whether it be 3D movies, 2D movies, TV shows that are happening out there in the world, or sporting events that are happening out there as well. And you can go in there with 20 plus people and just be enjoying live concerts or live events, and going in there and watching movies with each other, having conversations about different sporting events that are happening around the world. And it's really awesome. It really shows the power of being able to watch all these 3D movies and watch all these different things with people from all over the world, and just having a great time watching this content no matter what. And they have different environments that's really cool. It's not just cinema environments. Sometimes you're in outer space. Sometimes you're in different bars. Sometimes you're on a rooftop. And it just adds to the immersion of the coolness factor of watching all these different things with people from all over the world, not just in a regular cinema, but just everywhere else. And if you've never seen something like this before, or your family and friends have never seen what it's like to put on a VR headset and see like a 200-inch cinema-style screen in front of you that is not actually there, but is there that you're staring at, it will blow your mind the first time you actually see that. There's no doubt about that. But then there's also the fact that you can watch your own library as well. Like I own a ton of 3D movies that I've ripped for VR, and Moon Player is my favorite way to watch it because they have, first of all, really good environments. I love the ambient lighting that they have around the movie while you're watching it that matches what you're actually seeing. And, it's just a really good environment to watch all your 3D movies or all your 2D content that I love doing. 3D is my favorite thing to watch in VR because it really does showcase the power of VR and how awesome it is to watch it. So watching movies and watching content comes in at number 2. And the last one here coming in at number 1 has got to be social VR games. For me, the whole reason that VR succeeds and why I love VR so much, why I hope it goes nowhere anytime, is socially engaging with other people from across the world, whether it be social gaming or social apps and stuff like that. It really is what I really like about it. This Demio that just came out here, that is X Dungeons and Dragons, that I just did a video review on, is amazing. But I would never play this game alone because it's just not that, it's not fun for me to play a game like this alone. But you playing with another friend or with 3 friends or whatever the case may be really elevates it, because now you're going through a dungeon, you're going through this story, talking to each other, having fun, cooperatively playing this game together and stuff like that, using different cards and cooperatively taking down the different bad guys or the different masters and stuff like that. It makes the game completely different when you're playing it with 3 other people or another person than it's just you. So like there's so many games in VR that I would never play if it was just me being by myself after playing it once. But adding social to it and adding friends to it elevates the game completely when you're playing in VR. And I think I've kind of said this a lot on my channel on how much I love social VR and how much I love bringing people on this channel to help me showcase these games socially, because it really makes the games completely different. And Demio right here is one of those examples. And then you have things like Forefront that came out this year as well that kind of blew everyone away. This is like Battlefield in VR essentially. And how much better of an experience are you going to have this year than when you're in a multiplayer game with like you and like a bunch of your friends going in there, 32 versus 32, whatever the case may be, 64 versus 64, and just going crazy. And you're in there like in helicopters, you're in there in like tanks, you're in there you know, taking things down together. I've never seen so much teamwork in a game in my life ever since I played this game. And, you know, we were in helicopters, and one person's manning it, one person's like shooting down people. You're in boats all going together and taking down the enemy team. It's like the most fun I've had in VR all year was with this game right here, because of the teamwork, because of the social power of VR, of playing it against one another. And, you know, everyone was talking to each other and saying, hey, you go there, I got him, you know, whatever the case may be. And we're just going back and forth all over the place, taking zip lines across different areas and exploding. It's just an amazing experience to socially play this game in VR, and if you have not played this game, you definitely need to do so. And then the other thing I like in games too is when they do social hubs really well. When I can go into a game like NFL Pro Era, and you can go in there on online multiplayer and basically be there with you and like 12 of your friends and throwing the football around and making your own different mini games. Like, you know, you're actually on an NFL field and they have different mini games that you can play. You can do whatever you want. It's an open landscape to do whatever you want before the full game. I love social hubs in VR. And, you know, NFL Pro Era is one that does it really well. And it's super fun to go in there with a bunch of your friends and just, you know, toss the ball around and, you know, do these different mini games and have all these different skirmish games and stuff like that with your friends. It's just a super fun time. Another game that does that social hub just as well also is Racket Club, one of my favorite games from Resolution Games, not only because the game in and of itself is amazing and the physics are literally spot on, but their social hub is amazing because you go in there and you're in like a whole entire area, and like you can see people playing the game. You can see people playing Racket Club 1v1, you can see 2v2, and you can actually go up to them and hear their conversations. You feel like you're a part of a community. You can see them actually hitting the ball back and forth. They added other, you know, sports to this as well. They added table tennis here recently, so you can just walk around this gigantic social hub and not only go wherever you want to play whatever you want with your friend, but you can also hear other people playing and their conversations. You can also see them playing these games, and it just feels like you're part of a larger community instead of just being in there by yourself or with one other person. It feels like you're in there with a giant community of players, and it really feels like you're part of a world per se, as you are in this. And I think they did a great job in this one as well. But then you also have tranquil games as well, like real VR fishing, where you would think like that's going to be boring as hell to just sit there and fish. And it would be. If you were doing it by yourself, this is not a game, again, that I would play alone, because I'm not going to sit there and fish all on my own, regardless of how good the graphics are, which are like photorealistic sometimes on the locations that you go to. But it's not something I would do on my own. I don't find it that fun. But now add 3 of your friends and you're sitting there on a shoreline, like sitting there fishing in like the middle of Alaska or in the middle of wherever you are, and these different locations showing the power of the graphics and how photorealistic it is, and you're trying to, you know, get your fish. You can sit there and cast your line and catch up with your friends, and almost like you're on a phone call and be like, hey, how was your day? How was your week? How's your job going? Like, you know, what do you want to do like this weekend? You know, whatever the case may be. And you're sitting there fishing with your buddies that may not even be in the same state that you're in. And you're having these conversations and you're fishing like you really are fishing in the real world. And that is the power of social VR, in my opinion. But of course, it wouldn't be complete if we didn't talk about Walkabout Mini Golf as well. This is one of the best social games that you can play in VR nowadays because, first of all, the courses that they make are literally spot on. They just released Alice in Wonderland, which I'll be doing a video on within the next 2 weeks, playing with a friend as well. Again, it's the power of social VR. Would I play mini golf by myself? Not very often. But add you and 7 of your friends that you can come in here and play, and their social hub is now getting better because they're adding board games to it. They just added chess and checkers to their little social hub. It really sets the game apart and is super fun to play all the courses that they keep coming out with. And then we got to talk about actual social hubs like VR Chat, where you're in virtual worlds, and this has been around for a really long time, but you can explore different worlds that people make from all over the world with, you know, going to different bars, going to nightclubs. You know what it is to be sitting in your actual house, and you can literally go there and go to a bar and just meet people from everywhere and actually create real lifelong friendships. And some people meet people in VR Chat or meet people in some of these other social hubs and actually meet in the real world, and then they become lifelong friends or lifelong relationship partners. They, you know, end up dating, they end up, you know, whatever the case may be. Or even if you don't do any of that and you're just in here to have a great time meeting people in these worlds, There's no better experience to be sitting in your home and being able to go into a real life nightclub where there's a real life DJ DJing in there, and you know, you're DJing and having a great time listening to music, and it's like you're at a nightclub enjoying it with people, or you get to experience all the different cool worlds that people are making. I've been to Disney worlds in here that lets me relive different parts of rides in Disney, or even like the whole entire happily ever after like performance that you see in front of the castle. People have literally recreated it in VR chat, which is amazing. And every time I'm in here, yeah, there's some weird stuff that you see in VR chat and stuff, but it doesn't take away from the fact of the social nature of all this, and how you got to be taken aback that 20 years ago none of this was possible, and now you can go in here and play all these different mini games with people, play poker, play, you know, all these different things in VR chat with people, and it really does set it apart, and watch different movies with people, and watch all this different content with people from all over the world. But for me, the app that I use the most currently when it comes to social VR is definitely Horizon Worlds, and I know that may shock some people because this app still gets a lot of flack out there, but I love Horizon Worlds for meeting new people in social VR. There's a lot of great adult worlds. I did a video on that showcasing my top favorite adult worlds that has done really well that you guys seem to like. And, you know, going into Gatsby's or going into all these different places or meeting people, I have literally made friendships in VR and, you know, relationships in VR in here that really, you know, take you back. And you're like, I can't believe that this is an experience I'm having here in 2025. And some of the games in here have gotten a lot better too. You know, this fishing game that you guys are seeing here, or some of the, you know, gun games that you get to play in here, but really the power of social VR. Every time we go in here and we explore new worlds, you know, we sit there on the Titanic and we're, you know, doing the whole Titanic scenes all over again, or you're, you know, doing role playing at a supermarket and stuff like that, or role playing at a courthouse and being a judge versus like the plaintiff and stuff like that. It really is an endless amount of content in Horizon Worlds, and I hope that this thing keeps going for years to come. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this unique list of my top favorite things to do in VR for 2025. I love creating lists like this that are a little bit more out there, a little bit more unique for you guys, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Check out all the links down below if you guys want to support me and the channel for some of the games that I mentioned in this video. And yeah, let me know if you guys want to see more lists like this in the future, and thank you guys for watching. Until next time.